response to President Trump's tariff announcement, more than 100 countries have approached us, wanting to help rebalance global trade. These countries have responded openly and positively to the President's actions to create a more balanced international system. We are engaged in meaningful discussions and look forward to talking with others.
Yes, we want to talk to everybody. Come on over here. Come on down. We want to talk. Secretary of the Department of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, yesterday, talking about all the countries around the world coming to Trump, to the United States, hat in hand. Sometimes it's a kufi in hand. It depends. I want to bang on the drum all day. I kind of do bang on the drum all day, come to think of it. Now that it's come up. Well, a very good Thursday to all of you. A lot going on in the world. In Rome, the Vatican, Italy. A funeral on Saturday, very early Saturday morning Eastern time in the United States of America for the Pope, Il Papa, which will then be followed by the selection of a new pope, the election of a new pope by the College of Cardinals, and a lot of excitement going in there. Got a couple of friends in Rome already as news people for the event, and more headed that way for the next phase. The next phase matters. But we've got a lot going on in Washington, D.C. President Trump yesterday, the Treasury Secretary, talking about negotiating trade deals with various countries where our last trade deal didn't really work out in our favor. We kept coming out on the losing end of trade deals that we cut with countries around the world. And President Trump, Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, others in the Trump administration looking to restore sanity and order and more favorable to the United States trade deals with countries around the world. Talking about 100 countries that have thrown their hats, their kufis, their chadors into the arena. And what do we have? 18 written offers, 18 offers in writing from countries on trade deals, and a lot going on there. The Democrats want it all to fail. They want a bad economy because what is bad for the United States of America is good for the Democratic Party. See, they're not on our side. So we got that. J.D. Vance, I mentioned the Pope and the funeral for the Pope and the convocation and all of that coming up. And J.D. Vance was the last world leader, the last bigwig to meet with the Pope before he died at the age of 88. And now he's got a little bit of a reputation. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but my friend Brian, 2 hours after the Pope had died, he texted me, hey, J.D. Vance was the last guy to meet with the Pope, other than his inner circle, his intimate inner circle. And J.D. Vance was the last guy to meet with the Pope. And my friend Brian said, I've got a long list of people that I'd like to have J.D. Vance meet with. Because, he's got, that's how this stuff goes. And now the funny people at the Babylon Bee, and they are funny people. They do funny stuff at the Babylon Bee. Their headline yesterday, it's a picture of J.D. Vance on the south lawn of the White House for the Easter egg roll on Monday. And next to him is the gigantic Easter Bunny, the Easter Bunny. Remember the one that Joe Biden had a conversation with and was being led around by when he was president. But here's J.D. Vance with the giant fuzzy Easter Bunny. And the headline is, Easter Bunny dead after meeting with J.D. Vance. Because you see, J.D. Vance, now he's got a reputation. You meet with J.D. Vance and you die. It's like see Paris and die. Meet with J.D. Vance and die. Kind of fun. But the people at the Babylon Bee, they're fun. They're funny. And it is a bit of an amusing. It's a meme out there on Al Gore's amazing internet, such as it is. We've got all that. Womp, womp, womp. I've been telling you about the latest. It's hard to keep track, I know, but the various illegal alien, criminal, gang member, rapist, murder, human trafficking, Democrat heroes, the heroes of the Democrat, like Luigi Mangione. Who do they love more, Luigi Mangione or Hamas? It's hard to tell. Everything the left loves kills, And they're usually anti-Semites, too, because, the Democrats, they don't like the Jews, and it seems that Yale University, big stuff going on there. But there is an update also on the person that the news media likes to call a Maryland man. He's a Maryland man, and he was deported by President Trump, but the Democrats, they want him to come back and date their daughters because they're mentally ill, mostly, and gender dysphoric. But the Department of Homeland Security has now confirmed that their hero, Abrego Garcia, when he was pulled over, and I told you about this, and he was suspected of being involved in human trafficking. Well, now there is an update on the hero of the Democrat Party, Abrego Garcia, and it turns out that he was pulled over in Tennessee by the state police in Tennessee, and he had 7 or 8 other people in his vehicle, a Chevy Suburban apparently, packed with people. None of them had luggage. They were supposed to be headed to Maryland for a construction job. And now it has been confirmed that the vehicle that he was driving was a vehicle owned by a human trafficker. So the hero of the Democrat Party, Abrego Garcia, we now, with updated information, can say, oh, yeah, definitely involved in a human trafficking operation, smuggling 7, 8 people up from Texas to Maryland, was pulled over. He was let off the hook because the police are too nice sometimes and good guys, but they let him go. And now Abrego Garcia pulled over driving an SUV belonging to a confessed human smuggler. That's human trafficking and illegal alien. And his name is Jose Ramon Hernandez Reyes. And Jose Ramon Hernandez Reyes, too many syllables for me. I'm just Chris Plant. I'm just 2 syllables. It's like Jose is 2 syllables. Chris Plant, 2 syllables. Then he's got Ramon Hernandez Reyes on the end of that. That's a pretty wackadoodle-doo. But we have an update on that because quite remarkable. And he's the bad guy, and the Democrats are the bad guy lovers. And doesn't that make them, because they have all the power, doesn't that really make them the bad guy in all of this? Because they're powerful. They have political power and all that stuff. And Jonathan Turley, the law professor extraordinaire from the George Washington University School of Law, he has weighed in on the Abrego Garcia case, too. And he's an intelligent man and a serious man, and he doesn't like being lied to. And there's some good stuff that he has posted on the platform formerly known as Twitter. He said of Kilmore Abrego Garcia, his name being Kilmore is kind of a clue, isn't it? Isn't that a clue? And one of the Democrats, House members that went down to El Salvador the other day, she mispronounced his name. She flew down there to meet with him, and she did not know how to pronounce his name because low IQ theater is the order of the day. But Jonathan Turley, not low IQ theater, he posted on Twitter. He said, because he said he's a lifelong Democrat, and he's from Chicago, but he's smart anyway, in spite of all that. And he wrote on Twitter, I just listened to NPR's report. See, that's the Democrat Party. Just listen to NPR's report on Kilmore Abrego Garcia's case, as the reporter stated, didn't hedge or anything, stated that Garcia lived in Maryland quietly for years with his family until he was suddenly and unjustly deported. There is law professor Jonathan Turley quoting NPR, suckling on the taxpayer teat, NPR, and we're paying for them. We're paying their salaries as taxpayers. We're paying for them.
The Trump administration has admitted that one of the men was mistakenly deported, a Salvadoran national living in Maryland named Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. The White House maintains that he is a member of the gang MS-13. His lawyers say he's been living in Maryland peacefully for 14 years and that he's never been charged with a crime in any country.
Yeah, never been charged with a crime in any country except... they charged, the baby mama, before he married her in prison, he beat the hell out of her, and she got a restraining order. And then, of course, there was the pullover with the human trafficking and the smuggling going on. And then the repeated instances of being involved with MS-13, the gang. But that's what the left-wing, radical, taxpayer-funded media reports. And Jonathan Turley heard that So I just listened to NPR report on Kilmore Abrego Garcia. On his case, as a reporter stated that Garcia lived in Maryland quietly for years with his family, sure that the baby mama that he married while he's behind bars, it's all going very well, until he was suddenly and unjustly deported. And Jonathan Turley says, many of us believe that he should be returned and be deported promptly and correctly. However, no one familiar with the case would claim that the man, 1, repeatedly accused of beating his wife, 2, suspected of human trafficking, and 3, accused of being an alleged MS-13 gang member, lived quietly in Maryland. He wanted to take issue with the word quietly. He lived quietly. He's he's human trafficking. He's beating the baby mama. He is marrying her in prison, and he's been alleged to be, and he's got the tattoos on his knuckles that might very clearly indicate MS-13 because of the M thing, the marijuana leaf, the S thing, the smiley face, the 1, and then the C, apparently, which is the third letter of the alphabet representing 3. So the MS-13, MS-13 on his knuckles. And the Democrats say, oh, no, those are just perfectly normal tattoos that everybody has. And then they pull out their 5-year-old daughter and show her knuckles. Say, see, I got her tattooed with the same thing just to defend Abrego Garcia, the wife-beating, human trafficking MS-13 member that the Democrat Party loves almost as much as Luigi Mangione. Because if you kill, they like you. They're not liberals. They're the left. And they're organ harvesters from way back, too. Isn't that amazing? So we got that going. Also, fun news in the world of polling. How can there be fun news in the world of polling? Well, the Democrats, not at all popular with younger people, and that would be younger voters, 18 to 29, not at all popular. And I was talking about this a couple of days ago. I was ahead of the curve once again on the poll numbers with the Democrats bottoming out low 20s in approval for this is supposed to be their wheelhouse, their hot zone, 18 to 29-year-old voters. And it turns out they don't like him at all, 18 to 29, don't like him at all, 23% approval. And that's not good for them because now they're trying to get rid of all their old people like Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin. And they're like, yeah, let's get a bunch of David Hoggs in there, a bunch of 25-year-olds, because they're even dumber than these old people. Good stuff, but the poll number is very bad. And I was talking about this the other day, and I said the reason the poll numbers are bad for the Democrats, and I believe this to be true, otherwise I wouldn't have said it, is because, but it is my hypothesis, I should say, the reason their popularity is so low has a lot to do, if not everything to do, with the fact that nobody trusts and believes the news media anymore. They have the lowest approval rating. It's like, they're like somewhere in the neighborhood of child molesters. It seems like a lot of them are child molesters. And, like the Montgomery County school curricula going down to kindergarten with the transgender education. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. Aren't they amazing? But the problem the Democrats have is nobody trusts or believes the corrupt news media anymore, nor should we believe the corrupt news media anymore, because they lie all the time. Where to even begin the list with the CIA and what was the CIA behind the Russian collusion plot and John Brennan, the Communist Party voter who Barack Obama made head of the CIA, who then tampered with our presidential election in 2020, ought to be in a penitentiary since he's already penitentiary face and everything. But the Democrats, they're kind of in a funny place because their propaganda arm, the vast majority of the American news media, 95% or so, they lie to us all the time, and nobody believes them or trusts them anymore. And that has got everything to do with the Democrat Party's approval bottoming out. Also, this is fun. David Hogg, one of the child prophets of the left, he's the anti-Bill of Rights, anti-Second Amendment. And he's the number 2 at the Democratic National Committee, the deputy chair of the DNC. And the headline today is, DNC gives David Hogg an ultimatum. He gets an ultimatum. Yeah, what do you hear what's going on at Yale University? They hate the Jews but they love the jihad, and they're racists about it, too, as you might expect. Russia peace deal, what's happening there? You know, there's a war in Ukraine. And air quality in Washington, D.C. We are at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right. Another day on Earth. And the left, well, they still hate the Jews. Adolf Hitler and his Socialist Workers' Party, today's Democratic Party in the United States, they're just warming up here. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Paul, calling from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Paulo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good, Paul.
Just want to relay a quick story about something that happened in Tacoma Park, Maryland. I used to have a rehearsal space off of Flower Avenue. Mm-hmm. There was a MS-13 leader who used to hang out outside, right? Guys that I rehearsed with were a little afraid, so I went and talked to him. And he said, "No, you don't have any problem with me. I don't want problems with the American citizens. We operate underneath the radar." And he explained to me about some of their business operations that any liberal should be disgusted by. He said they knew every single illegal that came across the border, especially the young boys and girls about the age of 13. Because you could take any 13, 14-year-old girl and make her a prostitute. And I asked him how. He said, well, it's very simple. You threaten to kill their whole family here and their whole family in El Salvador. There you've got your prostitute. Any young boy you want to bring into MS-13, you do the same thing by threat. Any illegal that you know about, you knock on the door every week and ask for $50, $80. This is how they make a living. This is just a small segment of it, but I want people to know this came out of the mouth of an MS-13 leader. These people are disgusting, and I'm sure that's what that Mr. Kilmar was doing. They're not choir boys. I know that.
Right. Well, and just a couple of days ago, the Justice Department announced that they arrested 20, just in New York City alone, 27 members, different gang, Venezuela, Tren de Aragua, which we now just call TDA because the Democrats want to make sure that we become familiar with them. And these 27 Tren de Aragua Venezuelan gang members also forcing children into prostitution in New York. That's the whole project, is probably, human trafficking and children. And the 27 charged in New York City crackdown. And they laid out the way that they manipulate mostly young girls into a life of prostitution. And the Democrats are here to defend them. Ah, yes. Yeah, the Democrats are into some really weird stuff. They're into sexualizing children in kindergarten, particularly with LGBTQ, and under that umbrella, in particular with T, because they love the whole transgender thing for children, which would have been frowned upon even by Democrats not very long ago. Sexualizing children and gay sexualizing children and transgender sexualizing children and taking it to, we got Randy Weingarten, the radical leftist, communist, anti-American lunatic, saying that, what is it? She said, Mike, that she wouldn't recommend this kind of transgender reading for children 4 to 6 years old. But once you're 7, then I think she's good. I think that's what she said. Pretty amazing stuff. And we talked about this on my television show last night on the Right Squad on the Newsmax channel, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Last night, that was a topic of discussion, the Supreme Court and all of this good stuff. Now, pretty amazing stuff. They've got a school, Montgomery County, Maryland, 2 blocks from this radio station where I sit right now, and one of the biggest school systems, used to be one of the most successful school systems, public school systems in the United States. Of course, the Ivy League used to be a successful group of colleges. Now it's like the Nazi party goose-stepping around, but never mind all that. Let's go to soundbite number 1, because there was Alan Schoenfeld speaking before the Supreme Court the day before yesterday, and Justice Gorsuch was having a little back and forth because the Democrats, they've got a book that's called Pride Puppy. Pride Puppy. It's a little puppy that's gay. All right, and they got, it's a puppy dog and it's gay, and they're indoctrinating them and training them, and they're loosening them up to their more long-term goals, presumably, because we should be keeping Democrats away from the children. But Justice Gorsuch and Alan Schoenfeld, Supreme Court, on the gay transgender education for kindergarten forward in Montgomery County, Maryland.
So Pride Puppy was the book that was used for the pre-kindergarten curriculum. That's no longer in the curriculum.
That's the one where they are supposed to look for the leather and things and bondage, things like that.
It's not bondage. It's a woman in a leather.
Sex worker, right?
No, that's not correct. No.
I read it.
It's a drag queen.
Drag queen and drag
correct.
queen.
The leather that they're pointing to is a woman in a leather jacket. And one of the words is drag queen in the search.
And they're supposed to look for those.
It is an option at the end of the book, correct?
Yeah, okay.
So he's lying to the Supreme Court, and one of the words is drag queen. Is drag queen one word? Because I think I'm going to have to ask RuPaul. I think drag queen is 2 words, and the lawyer arguing before the Supreme Court, doubtless Ivy League educated, says that drag queen is 1 word. Maybe he knows he may be one, for all that we know. And Justice Gorsuch, calm and cool as you can be, well, gosh, I read it. And you're telling me that I didn't see what I saw. And the leather, oh, yeah, sure. Well, the leather and the drag queen with the leather, that's one of the options to be the little kids to be looking for. You people should be in handcuffs. You people you're sexually deviant criminals, I think. Would that be generous? I think so. Sexually deviant criminals, and they've made that normal. This is their goal, to make the abnormal normal while simultaneously making the normal abnormal. That's the goal of, and I've been talking about this for 15 years. The Democrats taking the abnormal and making it normal while simultaneously doing the reverse. Aren't they amazing? And they continue to do it, and they're targeting the children down to kindergarten with drag queen in leather. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's my leather-bound S&M, my bondage drag queen? And he said, no. Well, yeah, sure, it's a game where at the end where you creep, and Justice Gorsuch, no slouch, is he'd read it, and dude, I guess he's a dude, sounds like a dude, could be a chick, because one of the justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson, doesn't even know what a woman is. And she is a woman and should recuse herself from this case and pretty much any other case, too. So sex worker. No, it's not bondage. It's a woman in leather. Oh, I see. Then the sex worker. No, that's not correct. No. And Gorsuch is like, gosh, I read it. Drag queen? Well, yeah, the leather woman and the leather jacket. It's a leather jacket, sure. And they're supposed to look for those? It's an option. It's an option. That's what the teachers are teaching, because they're S&M, B&D, sadism and masochism, bondage and discipline, the Democrat Party. I am become death, destroyer of worlds. These people. And Justice Gorsuch was talking about the curriculum that they have for the little children in wealthy, used to be very white Montgomery County. Now I think it's full of gang members and stuff. In fact, we were talking to Paul, Montgomery County. That's Tacoma Park is Montgomery County in Maryland, where he's got the MS-13 gang leader outside talking about how they force the young kids into prostitution. And who do you think their customers are? They're Democrats. That's who they are. Justice Gorsuch having none of it.
You've included these in the English language curriculum rather than the human sexuality curriculum. to influence students. Is that fair? That's what the district court found. Do you agree
I
with
think
that?
to the extent the district court found that it was to influence them towards civility, the natural consequence of being exposed.
Whatever, but to influence them.
In the manner that I just mentioned, yes.
Okay.
Towards civility with drag queen sex workers, because that's what you want your 5-year-old to be educated in. And the Democrats say this with a straight face in front of the Supreme Court, and they'll dispute the minute semantic matters that emerge as you go. Just amazing, I got to say. Also, last night on my television show, we used a soundbite from Harvard law professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz, who has fallen from grace with the radical left because he's still tethered to reality here and there. And Alan Dershowitz, not a dumb man, a smart man, appearing on Newsmax television, talking about the case before the Supreme Court, and he thinks it's not a tough call.
Oh, this is an easy case. I love being right about my predictions. This one isn't even a challenge. It will be the right of parents to opt their children out of propagandistic teaching about gay rights and about other social issues will be upheld by the Supreme Court. It will be either a 6-3 decision, or maybe even some of the liberals will come along.
Or maybe even some of the liberals will. He's a lifelong liberal, of course, but he's smart anyway. In spite of that, he should probably pull out of the nosedive that liberalism is in and join civilization over here. But Alan Dershowitz is going to be an easy call. It should be a unanimous decision, but the lefties are sexually demented and deviant. And again, Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't even know what a woman is. So how can she be allowed to be involved in this case if she doesn't know what gender is?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
I'm not a biologist, really? Well, just do a quick check. Just, grab check, do a little pat down. But they've lost their minds, and they shouldn't be allowed to teach 5-year-olds, and they shouldn't be allowed to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. And when the simplest of questions, I mean, honestly, the follow-up question, are you a woman, for example? Well, gosh, I don't know. That's stumped me again. What am I? I'm still not a biologist. Come on, I wasn't a biologist a minute ago, and I'm still not a biologist. I don't know. And these people are so sick. The radical left-wing extremist president of the American Federation of Teachers, the AFT, Randi Weingarten, and she is a radical. She appeared on the Fox News Channel with Martha McCallum a couple of days ago, day before yesterday, and Martha McCallum asked the radical left teachers union chieftain, can you call her chief? Because they don't like the word chief. Because Indians, something like that. But they love, who do they love? Luigi Mangione, and their boy Garcia, because they love gang members and murderers. They're the left. They're a sick, demented, and they have these gender issues. So here is Martha McCallum, and this is almost astonishing, and she's smiling like a creepy, keep her away from the child aunt. Randi Weingarten explaining, 4-year-old, because you're in kindergarten, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old kids being taught this lurid LGBTQ emphasis on T brainwashing in Montgomery County schools.
So, do you believe, though, that there's an appropriate age to have a discussion? These are 4 to 6-year-olds, and they're being read, and this is out loud in the classroom.
I think that this will be shocking to you. These would not be the books I would be reading as a classroom teacher to kids who are 4 to 6 years old.
Wow. And then again, Martha McCallum, the natural follow-up would be, so 7-year-olds would be the right age then? Because, please, you people, President of the American Federation of Teachers, Randi Weingarten, I 4 to 6. And this may shock you. That you don't want to impale them on on spikes around the White House and let them bleed out, you lunatic. No, it may surprise you. For 4 to 6 year olds, the transgender sex workers, that's prostitutes, and the sexual deviancy that you're trying to familiarize kids with before they can ride a two-wheeled bicycle without training wheels on it. And, this may shock you, but aren't they amazing? Randy Weingarten.
I was a teacher when we had the big issue around Heather has two mommies. And I think when you don't actually make sure that things are age appropriate and we don't actually have sufficient conversations with teachers and parents in terms of how we accept differences, then you have situations like this right now.
Yes, exactly, yes. And Randy Weingarten's spouse is Sharon Kleinbaum. Sharon Kleinbaum is her spouse, and her party is listed as Democrat. It says Democratic, but we all know that they're not Democratic at all. And so she's an LGBTQ. She's an L, which is also G. I can't speak to whether she's B or not. And in the privacy of her own home, she might be T. But I think as a general proposition, she's not known as being. They're just they're truly amazing, aren't they? This is today's Democratic Party. Yeah, Heather has two mommies because, yes, sir. And of course they want more funding. They got to have a lot of money for all of the LGBTQ indoctrination for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. She wouldn't personally go that way until they're 7, is what we can conclude based on what she has said. Randy Weingarten, American Federation of Teachers, and Martha McCallum.
We know that money does not equate a better outcome because in Newark, New Jersey, you have a per student, per capita expenditure that is one of the highest in the country. And you have very difficult
Martha, sweetheart, listen to me.
Please don't call me sweetheart.
Actually does.
Wow.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Sexually harassing me. You're just, wow. Sweetheart, if a man had been calling, she's a very attractive woman, Martha McCallum. And here's Randy Weingarten with her wife at home. I wonder if the wife yelled at her when she got home. What are you doing calling her sweetheart? Well, excuse me. What are you doing calling her sweetheart on the air? Oh, call her sweetheart. This is sweetheart. Please, don't call me sweetheart. Come on. Honestly. What do you, how many times, what happened to that pound me too? You know how that goes. All the pound me too. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Catherine, calling from North Carolina. Catherine, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
And I can hardly believe it, Chris. I've been trying to get a hold of you for a long time, but this is so personal. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I certainly am.
Okay, thanks. Yes, I am a retired teacher, and I started my career in Montgomery County, Maryland, in 1974. And even back then, teachers were forced to go to a 2-day workshop for being understanding of multiculturalism. And we were forced to do it. We had to sign in, sign out. Anyway, long story short, I can hardly believe what has happened to Montgomery County, the school system in particular. It was so not that back then. I mean, I'm a product of Montgomery County. I went to school there all my entire K-12, and I learned how to read, write, do arithmetic. I learned all kinds of good stuff like conceptual thinking, right and wrong. We had to say the pledge every day. We had to pray every day, which was all fine by me. But now I wouldn't give you 5 cents for it, Chris.
Yeah. What's the one-word explanation for all that?
Democrats.
Democrats. It is, isn't it? It's tragic.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. The Democrat Party has gone mad.
I can't wrap my brain around it. But anyway, yeah, that was my experience. And from 1974, I started to see chinks in the armor. And I had to get out after 10 years. And I moved around the country and ended my career in North Carolina, and I'm glad I'm here. I don't know how you do it.
You're wonderful, Catherine. Thank you for the call and sharing your recollections. And conceptual thinking is very important. I don't think we teach conceptual thinking anymore, or any kind of thinking anymore. Critical analysis, Socratic method. Catherine, thank you very much. God bless.
It's not bondage. It's a woman in a leather.
Sex worker, right?
No.
No?
That's not correct. No.
I read it.
Yeah, don't call me. Don't call me sweetheart, lady. All right, Michael, let's take another phone call. Talk to the nice American people. Where's Mike the Lib? We did get a report on Mike the Lib yesterday. Someone telling us that he's okay, but we're still looking into it. Let's go back to the phones, Mike. Let's go to Scott calling from Centerville, Virginia. Scott, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Nice to talk to you. I got a question here for you. It's just been bugging me for a couple of years now. So in middle school previously, and when I was younger, you would have the sexual ed classes go over each topic briefly, go through the whole thing and learn about sex ed. How is it we've got this divergent class happening with the younger kids where there's now a second period? How is that not considered grooming? Please educate me.
Well, I would say that it is considered grooming. I would not attempt to dissuade you of your impression regarding these matters, because I think when you take over schools, and then this is all about in Montgomery County parents, Muslim parents, Christian parents, Jewish parents, atheist parents, parents from all over the world, which is typical of this area and the whole country, really, and. The parents are saying, we don't want you teaching our kids this stuff, and we would like to be able to opt out. And they had the option of opting out until about a year and a half ago, I guess. And then they secretly, quietly said, no, parents can no longer opt out. And I got to tell you, Scott, that is grooming. Big time. That's the definition. Your parents have no say in this. We're taking over your children, and we will do with them what we want, and this is what we want to do with them.